Percussion, Mr. Leonard here. Let's talk about rhythm. Alright, so I think we had a couple of problems in the first assignment, or technically the second assignment that I gave you guys. The very first measure has 2/16 notes, followed by an 8th rest, and then 2/16 notes, followed by an 8th rest, and then 4/16 notes, followed by a quarter note. Some of us have been counting these 16th notes as 8th notes, kind of like this. 1 te, 2 te, 3 te to 4. 1 te to 2 te, 3 te, te. 1 te to 2 te to 3 te to 4 te to. Did I do it right? Like everything we count or we play, subdivision is everything. Let's take into account that the 8th note rests are on the upbeats in the first line. In the second line, all the 8th note rests are on the downbeats. And in the third line, it goes from downbeats to upbeats respectively. In the first line, we need to make sure that we're counting the 16th note rhythms correctly with the metronome before we move on. 1 t, 2 t, 3 t to 4. 1 t to 2 te, 3 t, 4. 1 t to 2 t te, 3 t to 4 t, 1 t to 2 te, 3 t, 4. Please note that in measure 2, beat 3 is the same thing as beat 1 in the first measure. See how it's the same? Measures 2 and 4 are the same exact measures, so don't worry about those two. Once you got the first one, the second one will just be old hat. Measure 3. Measure 3 somehow has got everyone in a tizzy. Did I say tizzy? Tizzy's a word? Tizzy's a word. It's got you all in a tizzy. So we have the first part, 1 t teta. Yes, got it. And then the second beat comes, and now we're stumped because there's an 8th note right after the 16th notes. 1 t teta? 1 t te? I don't know. So we need to know that we have 4/16 notes in one beat. 1 t te ta. And we can play around with these 16th notes as much as we like. In the second beat, we have 1 t and then we have an 8th note. Usually what we do is we combine these two 16th notes, just like this video. Does that make sense? I really hope it does. It took me like an hour to make. What we can do is we have our 1 t te and combine those two, fusion them, and now we have 1 t te or 2 t te. Understand? So we have 1 t te to 2 t te, 3 t te to 4 t te. Hopefully that'll make sense. Hopefully you can use this finger reference. I know we've done that before in class. Hopefully that'll make a little bit more sense in the first line. Now let's go on to the second line. The second line is pretty similar to the first one, except things are a little bit switched around. Does that make sense? So, first measure of the second line, we have rest, an 8th rest, followed by 2/16 notes. So, if we hold up our 4 fingers again, boom, we have 1 t, which makes 1/8 rest, and leaves us with te-ta. So we have te-ta, te-ta 2. Does that make sense? Beats 3 and 4 are usually the same thing as beats 1 and 2 in the second line. So just kind of take a look and go slowly through those so you guys can be able to perfect them before you record them. Check it out. In measure 2, we have an 8th note followed by 2/16 notes. So you have 1 teta 2. Okay, let's talk about line 3. Line 3 is pretty much the first and second line that you guys have already counted and or played through. The last measure is the only thing that we really need to kind of look at. So if we have the last line and we have a 16th rest, guess what happens? This guy becomes a rest. So if you have 1 t te ta, you just make that first one a rest, you have t te ta. And counting that measure sounds like this. T teta, teta 3, te 4. Boom. Finish recording. Go ahead and get that done. This next assignment has you only counting and playing the 4th line of this page. So make sure that you're going through it slowly, making sure you're taking the time to understand where the 16th notes lie, and make sure that you're able to do it cleanly before you submit the video. So that way, those 100% that I'll give will be actual 100% instead of 95s. Now, let's talk about your exercise. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the accent tap exercise. This exercise is going to utilize all 4 of the drum strokes, starting with our downstroke, a tap, an upstroke, and a legato stroke. Make sure that you're using all those and understanding the difference between all 4. Make sure that your stickings from hand to hand are smooth and connected, and make sure that your heights are all the same. So if you have an accent that's up here, make sure every single accent is up there. If we are doing a tap, make sure they're all the same height when we do our tap, and make sure that when we go from our left hand to our right, we're not making the left hand higher than our right. Let's keep the accents at 9 inches, which is not full out, right below. And let's make our taps 1 inch. Does that make sense? I hope it does. If you guys have any more questions, I'm on Zoom Monday through Thursday from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. and then from 3 to 4 p.m. On Fridays, if you guys need to get a hold of me, just shoot me an email or send something through any form of communication that I've sent out to y'all, and I can set up an appointment, a lesson if you guys need it, or just something to help you guys out. I know some of you guys are doing a really great job of this, and others are almost there, but they just need to figure out what's going on still. So regardless of where you lie on that, make sure that you guys just get a hold of me, touch base, say hi. I like to see your face sometimes, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Bye.